Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Ernest Hemingway once said, "There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self." That's this month's positive affirmation, and you are listening to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. With me every Wednesday is my fabulous co-host, who I finally got to meet in person, but we had to go all the way to Asheville, North Carolina to do so. Kim Thalken, founder of Love First, coming to you live from Encino, California. Good afternoon, Kim.
Good afternoon, Mark. Good afternoon, inspired listeners. I am so excited to be here today. And yes, that was something else, having to fly across the country to come and meet you, Mark. But what I'm telling you, you were well worth the wait. You were just as delightful as I knew you would be.
Well, thank you. Ditto, right back at you. And what a beautiful place to have breakfast every morning at that bed and breakfast there in Asheville. And just want to give a shout out to the owners of the Inn at on Main in Asheville, North Carolina, Dan and Nancy. I know they're probably not listening to the show, but we always want to give shout out to people that are making a difference in the world, and their kindness and home cooked meals every morning for breakfast. How awesome was that?
It was really spectacular, such a beautiful, peaceful setting, and everything was so fresh with all the meals that they made and the baked goods. And I tell you, there's one thing about Asheville that I remember every year that I go there, is that the food there is really amazing, and it makes you realize the difference between organic, fresh food than not. You realize the difference when you eat it. So it was a beautiful week, and just a really amazing time that we've got to spend with all of our colleagues, Best American Psychics, at just a very beautiful setting with just creek ran through the grounds, and just the beautiful mountains and the trees, and being out in nature, seeing the stars. It was really quite spectacular.
Yeah, that property, too, the house that we were in, was built in 1840, if you can believe that. So a lot of history there. It had a ton of ley lines and a ton of vortexes running through the property. And also I want to give a shout-out to Shay Parker of Best American Psychics, and her sister Angel, who did a fabulous job of coordinating the entire spiritual conference. They had a few things they had to work through, from a hurricane and rain to a fire, and they did an excellent job. And the place that we ended up at was just, I think it was meant to be, and it was very perfect, because there was a lot of energy there. It was hard getting a good night's rest with all of the energy in the land, but I was able to get out and do a hike too, which was awesome, to get into the Blue Ridge Mountains and experience Asheville from a high up angle. So that was great to get out and do a little nature as well.
Yeah, and you did some prospecting out there, Mark, and
I
you
did.
In that process, you picked out some beautiful rocks for us. I'm looking at them right now, and they're all with all my crystals. So it was a real nice week, and I think it's kind of funny, when you think about spending a week with all psychic mediums. Mm-hmm. That is, there's no hiding anything.
Yes, we know that.
Yeah. Just such lovely souls, though, all very talented, really just very nice people. Just very proud to be a part of Best American Psychics and all the work that each and every one of us are doing.
Yes, and the theme was being warriors of light. So great theme, great group of people. Got to meet everybody in person finally, so that was great versus just a Facebook profile picture. And if you, for our inspired listeners, if you listened in last week because Kim and I were not on the air, we did run our encore show with our very first guest, Panache Desai, talking all about what is your soul signature. So I hope that you were able to tune in and listen to that again. If you do miss today's show, if you're not able to listen to us live right now on OMTimes Radio, you can always go over to OMTimes Radio Archives and look for Inspired Living and all the shows there that we've ever done. I think this is like our 13th show now, Kim. You can listen to those shows on demand. You can also catch us over on Podbean, SoundCloud, YouTube, or you can now go to marklanehart.com, and I've put all the shows there on my video and audio library as well. If you want to interact with the show right now, we have an awesome guest that's about to come on. We're going to be talking about animal communications, healing, distant healing, and if you want to ask your questions, we will bring your questions live to air. So you're saying to yourself, well, how do I do that? Just head on over to Facebook right now, Inspired Living Radio. Type in your question. Both Kim and I are keeping an eye both on our Facebook page and our Twitter page. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's Inspired for Us. That's Inspired, the number 4 us. Post your questions there. We'll bring them as we bring on our special guest, and we'll bring those questions live to air. But before we do that, we want to get to some business because Kim has a few events coming up, and I would like her to let the Inspired listeners know exactly what she's going to be doing.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm telling you, the next couple of weeks are busy with a lot of great things going on. But just to add to what you're saying, we've had questions already pouring in. I mean, anytime we talk about our animals who are just like our family members, you can bet that people are going to be interested in knowing what they have to say and what they're thinking and if they're still with us, if they pass. So we're going to get into all of that good stuff. But in the meantime, let me just go through some important upcoming events and classes that you may be interested in. So I'm going to be hosting a class on Saturday, November 14th from 9 to 5 p.m. in Encino, California. That'll be focusing on connecting to the spirit world. So we're going to be talking about the importance of auras, chakras, the blending of energies, and really giving you all of the tools that you'll need on your journey into mediumship. It's going to be a beautiful class taught by Melinda Kushner, who has done some extensive training with the world-renowned Mavis Patilla. She's also studied extensively at Arthur Finley. So it's going to be just a beautiful day, a great workshop connecting with spirit, teaching you how to do that. We're going to be doing exercises together. You'll be able to practice with like-minded individuals. And anytime you spend a day with spirit, you can bet that your life will change in all good ways. So if you're interested, please visit my website for more information at lovefirst.info. You can also reach out to me directly at Love First or on social media as well. This Saturday, I'm going to be at a psychic and healing fair where I'll be doing readings and healings all day at the Center for Spiritual Living in Westlake Village, California. So if you are in the area, please stop by and say hi. I would love to meet you. If you'd like a reading or a healing, I'd be honored to work with you. And then the following Saturday on the 24th, I'm going to be doing readings and healings at the Mind Body Spirit Expo at Omen Garden. It's a lovely place in Sherman Oaks, California. They're going to have all kinds of workshops that day, actually both days. So it'll be a great experience. And again, if you're in the area, please stop by and introduce yourself. It'd be great to meet you in person. So thank you, Mark, for allowing me to go through all of that. And we've got just an exciting show ahead of us, and I can't wait for you to introduce our guests.
Yeah, you're going to be a busy girl, so a lot of spiritual awesomeness. And if I was down there in California, I would come out and join you. So again, if you are in the California area, please visit Kim's site, go out and check the expo. Kim is doing fabulous healing work, up-and-coming medium. Just even stop by and just say hi.
Thank you so much. I would love that.
So without further ado, we're going to bring our friend, Best American Psychic colleague, and somebody I met 2 years ago at Omega Institute, and we just hit it off. Just a fabulous psychic medium and healer. Nicolebeth Williamson is an animal communicator and systemic cellular healer, and we'll talk about what is a systemic cellular healer, a certified spiritual counselor. Nicolebeth is a clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, and clairscentient. Oh, those are big words. We're going to have to talk about that. She attended a private mentorship program with Shirley Ryan at the Working Together Institute, and Shirley was very instrumental in helping Nicolebeth realize her true path as a psychic medium. Shirley Ryan is a valued friend, advisor, and colleague, also known as the Human Owl. We'll talk about that. Nicolebeth also attended advanced mediumship classes with John Holland, Janet Nohavec, and Maggie Chula. That's actually where I met Nicolebeth at Omega. Nicolebeth enjoys her private time with her family, music, and is an avid crystal collector. She volunteers her time and gifts to various charities and events and believes in paying it forward to help her community. Nicolebeth is patient, loving, and kind, always willing to help and guide. She's a true light follower, her path as a healer, and I can totally agree with all of that because I have met you several times. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello. Thank you both so much for having me today.
Well, thank you for being our guest, and the time flies with this show. We're going to be going to our first break here shortly, but we wanted to get into your background. So I used some pretty big words there. I used clairvoyant and clairaudient and clairscentient, systemic cellular healer. Talk about what is all that, and let our inspired listeners know what those words mean and how you work.
Absolutely. I know it's lots of big, fancy, crazy words, which, clairvoyant is just a beautiful way of being able to see clearly when you're channeling, or seeing spirit, seeing energy, soul level, so many different things. And, when you run down the list, we can see as a medium or a psychic, we can feel them, we can smell, we can hear. Clairaudient is obviously clear hearing. Clear knowing is claircognizant. It's, just amazing ways of saying, hey, I can see you. I can communicate with you. And, everybody has different ones that are dominant for them. And they're
Nicolebeth, I'm gonna use my claircognizant skills right now to let you know that we are going to go to a break. And when we come back, we will pick up this awesome conversation with Nicolebeth Williamson here on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. We'll be right back in 2.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Greetings, fellow soul travelers. This is Dr. Amelia Kemp with OMTimes Radio. If you've been stressed mentally or emotionally, then join me on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the From Psychotherapy to Sacred Therapy show, where you'll learn you're not sick, you're sacred. And by aligning with the soul is what makes you whole.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First Services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information. The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, and thank you for being with us on Inspired Living on OMTimes Radio. And thank you to our guest, Nicolebeth, who I had the privilege of meeting this last week as well. So Nicolebeth, before we left for break here, you were talking to us and explaining a little bit about what the clairs are and some of the special modalities of healing that you work with.
Yeah, all the clairs, we all tap in and out of them. Some can be a little stronger at certain times, and then you can maybe shift out where I'm very clairvoyant, so I see very clearly. Sometimes I'll have a communicator that wants to talk a lot, so maybe I don't see them so much, but I hear them more. And I think don't you think that pretty much happens to all of us?
Yeah, I totally.
Yes. Yeah, agreed too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with the systemic healing, that's something really beautiful that honestly I wasn't aware was happening for many years. I knew something was going on. I really didn't understand it completely until, for me, my love, animals, we had a beautiful soul reincarnate back into our life, into our family, and she is Fiona, our Wheaten Terrier. When she came in, she was extremely sick, unsure if she was going to stay or really honestly live. We weren't aware she was in such a dire need when we got her. And out of the love for her, I believe just constant love, I was sitting over her one day crying. We're human, we do that. And I was so sad because she was so sick, and I started seeing the healing start again and just start infusing into her system. And my own body, actually, when I'm doing a healing session, it's almost in a trance state where I can feel everything that's going on in the body of animal or human, whomever I'm working on, and I can watch it as it's like psychically healing, shifting. It looks surgical sometimes, and it's working to heal us on a cellular level, from a spiritual point of view, from the auric body point of view, from your physical point of view. I've witnessed the healing occur on many different levels, and it's definitely a systemic thing that occurs on many layers of our spiritual being, which also includes the physical. And that's actually how it came to fruition for me, was I started working on our puppy because she needed to stay with me. She just reincarnated. She had many years that she needed to be with our family.
Mm-hmm. What a blessing, Nicolebeth, to be able to do that on your own pet. Because our pets are so important to us. They're like our little children. And, oftentimes many of us don't feel like we have control over their health because it's always in the hands of somebody else. So for you to be able to do your own healing and see what was happening with Fiona must have been comforting and just a real blessing.
Yes, and Kim, at the time, even though we've moved from South Florida, I'm currently residing in Asheville. I have the most amazing veterinary practice down there who I owe so much to, and they did everything they could do to help. And I believe my healing mixed with their medical care helped her to heal it. We were able to work together and make Fiona just perfectly healthy and happy. And, obviously with healing, it's the person's free will and their choice. And I refer to our pets as people all the time. So when I say person, I do mean them as well. And it's their contract with God or the universe as to whether they also want to be here. So they have to do their part too.
Well, you touched on something important, Nicolebeth. You talked about the importance of, there's still more for her to experience with you as a family. So are animals just our pets, or are they here with us for something more? Is there a greater purpose to their existence?
Much greater. They're here for so many reasons. They tell me all the time, I'm here for healing. I'm here to help them learn trust lessons. I'm their animal guide. I stay with them and travel with their soul to help them. They are here so unconditionally in such a loving vibration to help us on so many levels. They're also here to play, to be like in a natural, cohesive spirit with you. And that's part of getting you to go out and be free and live a little and let your spirit be free. They're therapy dogs. They're endless, the purpose to them being here.
And they're just, they just represent just purity of love is what I find. And, you touch on so many reasons why they're here, and I can see that myself and the pets that I've had along the way, and how they, they're aware of everything we're going through and we're feeling, and what's when we're preoccupied with things, when we're worried, when we're stressed, when we're sad. They really help us in so many different ways. Now, you talked a little bit about Fiona, and I love how Fiona's teaching all of us today because you talked about reincarnation, that she'd come back. So talk to us a little bit about reincarnation for pets and how that works, and do they come back to the same family? I mean, are these souls or energy that we've known before?
For those that believe in reincarnation, we all have our own belief system, but for those that do, Fiona has been with me. This is her third time. She has reincarnated specifically into my family. And she's told me I'll be here 2 more times. So her soul travels with my soul. She is my animal guide. She's a guide in a furry little body. She can see spirits also. So when I'm sitting working, occasionally she gets involved, which can be a little noisy, so I have to exclude that. But our pets can see things like that too. So when they reincarnate into the same family, I believe the soul travels together. They come for different lessons. They come at different times in your life. Not all of them will reincarnate back to you in the same lifetime. But I do believe very often when they do, you can identify it and you'll be able to feel it. They have very similar qualities. Many people listening, I'm sure, have said, "Oh, you remind me of the dog I had when I was 5 years old." And they can be cats too. They can jump around. It's not just dog to dog to dog reincarnation. And you will recognize, they will let you know. You will feel the essence of them back again. It's something that I almost can't even explain because you use your whole body to feel it. And it's so beautiful when it happens because you know that love has come back and you have more work to do while you're here.
Oh, that's such a beautiful way of thinking about our relationships with our pets. So, when you talk about, and we're going to get into more animal communication in a little bit because we've got questions. People want to know what their animals are thinking and feeling. But why is animal communication so important, and how can it help people in their life as well? How can it help you in your life?
I find that very often we neglect ourselves. We say we're taking care of ourselves. We do the things that we think are proper or good for our physical, spiritual body. Very often we are not. And when I sit to do readings, I see usually one of 3 things going on. The animals immediately will start talking to me about things that you are doing that you are not taking care of yourself. They have no filter. They will tell me if you are wearing sneakers that are not appropriate for your lower right hip because it's sore, and you're wearing like fancy shoes that are not good for that.
Isn't that funny?
They're so helpful, Kim, and they will talk about their own health care and their own needs, because very often we don't know. Sometimes it's a mystery, some of the things going on in their own body, and they'll share that with you or with me. And I also find that end-of-life care for them, it's so incredibly helpful to know some of the needs that they may have prior to their passing or when they're ready. And we have a hard time as humans letting them go because they're such a huge part of our life. And there's always that question when we have to help assist them. Is this the right time? Is there anything else I can do? And very often we are very comforted by knowing what their request is.
Sure. I mean, it just helps everybody involved and probably brings in a whole lot of peace to a situation that might be feel initially not so peaceful. And it's interesting that we're talking about this, although not so much since we're all psychic mediums, but we've had a couple of questions come in on the passing of pets and did they do the right thing? So we'll be able to talk a little bit about that after break as we head into break here. And talk about the importance again of the role that animals play in our lives and how we can work together in this lifetime to support and love each other is really how it feels.
I agree.
So we've got a little bit of time left, but for the people that currently do not live with animals, I mean, how can they connect through spirit animals to access the energy? Maybe we can touch a little bit on that.
Absolutely. I love that. You want me to speak?
Yeah, maybe until we get into break, we can touch a little bit on that for those people that don't have animals.
My first recommendation is meditation.
Okay, so quickly, just hold that thought, Nicolebeth, and our listeners will be right back in 2 minutes as we continue on with animal communication.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTimes Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business. And share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide, are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting to your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and help you realize the innate potential you have to heal every aspect of your life. So come heal yourself every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, with your host, Monica Goyal. Namaste.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. We have special guest Nicolebeth Williamson, who is a psychic medium, healer, and animal communicator. And before we went to break, we were talking about animal communications, how we can communicate with our animals, how our animals communicate back with us. And Nicolebeth, you talked about meditation as being one, and you also had mentioned in the beginning of the show the clairvoyance, the clairs. Talk a little bit of how we can understand how our animals are talking to us, because I'm sure there's listeners out there going, how do our animals talk to us, and how do we know what they're saying, and how do we listen to them, and how do we talk back to them?
Absolutely. And I'm getting ready to teach a class on that, animal totems and animal communication. I don't have it up on my website yet. That is a very common question in my practice in regards to how people can communicate with their own pets. I just briefly want to answer, before we start, I want to answer Kim's question before we went to break in regards to people who don't have animals, for those that are also listening. Spirit animals come in often. They can come to you in a repeated dream. You can have a butterfly fly in front of you and kind of hang around. The same bird can come and fly and sit on your windowsill. These are all messages from the animal kingdom. Spirit is coming through. They are asking for you to pay attention and listen and be quiet within yourself and focus on what they're trying to say to you. Sometimes they will show up at your office. You need to go outside. You're spending too much time around electronics inside the building. Each animal represents something different. There's a fantastic book called Animal Speak. I believe it's by Ted Brown. I highly recommend it. It lists pretty much everything, the reasons some of them show up, short-term totems, things like that. And that's really great for people who don't maybe necessarily have a pet in the house. That happens to all of us. And again, that book, Animal Speak, is phenomenal to help you understand maybe what message is coming through or what lessons going on in your life right now that specific animal's energy comes in to validate or help guide you through times when you need them. When we are, let's take cats. I love cats. I can't have them. I'm allergic to them, but I do a lot of work with cat rescues, Catopia down in South Florida. And to me, I make jokes all the time, but cats are like ascended masters. Very different energy than dog energy. Cat owners who have cats, they know when that cat wants something. It will laser stare at you like nothing you've ever seen before. And it's like it's talking into your brain, right into your soul. Most of the time, they're very good about letting you know when they want something. Dogs are, they're loving, they're happy, they run at you. Sometimes they could be a little goofy. They're definitely more of a free spirit, where I find the cats to be just a tad bit more serious. They're definitely, if you ask them, they'll tell you they're evolved compared to the dogs. Completely.
I agree. I have 2 cats, and they tell me that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, that's my joke. They're ascended masters. They came back in a cat body, and, they're speaking directly from God. You need to listen to them. But when they look at you, and it's not like just when they rub up against you, when they are looking at you, they are talking to you. They're hoping you psychically understand what they're saying to you, and very often we don't. So at that moment, take an assessment of what you're actually doing. Are you sitting at the computer too long? Did you need to eat something? Do you need to get up to stretch? Pay attention to your own space at that moment, and look at yourself. Actually, your cat is going to be, or your pet, a reflection of something going on in your life that it's asking you to pay attention to. Always. It's not just that they come to you and I'm hungry, it's time to eat. Everybody wants food. Everybody's hungry. We all have bodies we have to take care of. When you're emotional and your pet sits near you, it's not just there because it's there. It's helping soothe your emotion. It's helping your heart chakra. They are intentionally radiating love to you to help raise your own vibration. Again, to help you through what's going on. Very often, if our listeners, if you guys have pets that like to lay at your feet, like on your feet or near your feet, they very often are clearing your energy. You might not be aware of it, and you might be a little out of balance or not feel so great or having kind of a yucky day. When your pet goes and sits at your feet, it's like pulling all of that. They're pulling it from you. They're cleaning and clearing your vibration, which is why it's important that we take care of cleaning and clearing their vibration.
Yeah, I love that notion of they need clearing and healing too, because they are such healing forces for us, and it's really a beautiful thing how that works. It's happening without most of us even knowing. Nicolebeth, I know that our listeners are just chomping at the bit, waiting for their questions to be answered about their pets.
Let's answer some.
So let's start off with some of our questions because the time just goes by so fast. We've got a question that's come in from Henry, and her dog Mimi passed away a few years ago, and she'd like to know if she has any messages for her, because she said her body was shutting down at the end of her life, and we talked about that a little earlier, and it was so difficult for everyone, Mimi and also Henry and her family. So she wants to know, is she okay?
First, let me just say, Mimi has just the kindest, loving soul. It's in a way that is so special, and even she comes in with like this orange sparkly energy. Very, very vibrant in energy, very sweet, very loving, very grateful. The first thing she's telling me is, I know she mentioned that the body was shutting down. I was feeling bloating and swelling and some pain in the bones, especially in the back right area of the back and the hip, where she just was ready for that. I hate to, well, she's using that word, but that like suffering vibration, she was ready to have it released from her system. And in gratitude for allowing that to pass for her, because she was very uncomfortable, very achy, just the whole spirit of the energy changed. And she's actually letting me know that what she's grateful for was the constant stroking and care that she was receiving. But it's like this from the head down the back, from the head down the back, like down the back of the neck. And that's special to her. And she's grateful for that love, that vibration of love that she was able to receive prior to her passing.
What a nice message. So hopefully that provides some level of comfort for Henry, and that she had passed, she was ready to go, and she was grateful for all of the love and nurturing that she received beforehand. Thank you for that beautiful message, Nicolebeth. We have another one that's come in from Jessica in Spokane, Washington, and she says her dog, their dog Buttercup, passed in 2007. She says, but we still feel like she's around us, and we even feel like one of our new cats gives us a little sign that Buttercup is still around.
Oh, I love that. I love when they talk to each other. Our pets can see other pets, first of all, especially when they've passed. So everybody should know that if you have a spirit pet that's been passed and your pets at home are looking off in the corner, or very often I hear people say, well, they're barking at nothing. They're not barking at nothing. They're communicating with their other kindred spirits that have been there with them. You know, they're saying hello and it's okay. And with Buttercup, I have to ask, because I get this very young, youthful vibration from Buttercup, but I'm picking up this, like this racing, running around the house, like this crazy racing running around the house where I feel like I want to get up and race around in a circle and sit down, if that makes sense. And I feel like when there's this burst of energy coming from the other pet in the house, but it takes a circle pattern, and it's funny. It's like one of those cars that runs around really fast and then stops and sits. I feel like that's when she should address that there's other past pet energy in the house that's now being seen, because it kind of like speeds them up and makes them run in a circle.
Well, very good. So now we have some signs of what to look for. It's not just our animals acting nutty. They're doing things for a reason, right?
Yeah. And this one's really funny, though, because it's in a circular pattern that reminds me of like when the greyhounds run around the track, but a smaller track. It keeps doing that round and around, almost like to stir up the vibration of the space. So let her know to look for that in the house. When that circular pattern's running around, that's when she can say hello. And that would be a wonderful time to communicate.
That's a beautiful message. And thank you so much for our inspired listeners asking their questions. Jessica, thanks for the question. We hope that helps. Again, if you have questions, and we do have a whole lineup of questions, we're going to be going to break here shortly. We're going to bring your questions live to air when we come back from the break. But if you want to go to Inspired Living Radio over on Facebook, you can post your question there. We'll bring it live to air and ask Nicolebeth and all of her expertise and what she's picking up on your question. I do have to say, Nicolebeth, just listening to, talk about how animals communicate with us, that's why I love getting out in nature. For example, when I was in Asheville, I went out on a hike and I saw so many things and animals, one being a gecko. I had no idea what it meant, so I had to go look it up. And there's a great book. You had mentioned a book. We're going to have Dr. Stephen Farmer on, who wrote Animal Spirit Guides. And it breaks down, when you see these animals, what does that mean and how they interact with our life. So when we come back from break, we're going to be taking more questions. And this is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim on OMTimes Radio.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. And we're in the last section of our show, and we want to get as many questions to air as we can. One of our inspired listeners, Pam, asked if her dog, McKenna, who is 15 and is taking meds to help him with his mobility, she wants him to enjoy his quality of life. Is he okay? Does he need anything? Nicolebeth?
Hi there, Pam. Thank you for writing in for McKenna. First of all, I want to let you know McKenna is showing me stiffness. I know you wrote mobility, but I'm feeling like more than just that, like a stiffness and a cold vibration, like a cold energy that comes in sometime. So what McKenna would like is acupuncture. And McKenna shows me like a heating pad, even though we can't really put like plugged in heating pads on our dogs. So like, the warm bean bags you can put in the microwave and warm them up a little bit and just sort of lay them on the ground next to them. From the back area, from like mid-spine down, is where McKenna is asking for some more alternative care just to help it not just with like mobility, but like the stiffness. It's a very constant stiffness flexibility thing. So you're going to notice when McKenna stands up where the back end is a little bit slower, like to push up to go, because the hocks on the backbone above the hip, that's where that beanbag would be really great. And this dog just adores you. So just know that you're doing absolutely everything. When we could just fine tune it a little bit with that, McKenna would be very grateful.
Oh, what a beautiful message. And as our pets grow older and they're seniors, they need extra support too, just like we do.
Yeah, I was going to say, just like us.
Yeah, just like us. So we have a couple more questions. We're going to try and make it through. So John asked about his dog, Rosie. He said he had some life changes come up for him 7 years ago, that he had to find her a new home. And he never got to see her again. And so he'd like to know if she was okay in her new home and if she knows how badly he felt about that.
Well, the first thing I feel from Rosie is this amount of gratitude that she's passing on to you for making sure her needs were met, because I can see where it was difficult for you and you no longer could care for Rosie in the way that you had cared for Rosie. And I feel like Rosie's energy went to somebody that has like an old soul, old energy. It's like this comforting of like older people. That vibration comes in as they age, whether it's the people she's with or her own self in her own older age. But there's a lot of gratitude for you being able to put her needs before your needs. And she knows exactly how much you love her. Not loved, because she knows you still love her. That's very important that you know that. And she's more concerned that you take care of yourself. I hope that makes sense.
Isn't that lovely? Look at our animals. They're so concerned about our well-being, and we're worried about them, but yet they're worried about us. So, John, hopefully that gives you some answers to your questions about Rosie and how lovely it is to know of her concern for you. So we've had another question come through from Jamie. He had his dog Dakota pass away. He said he was very heartbroken because Dakota had been there for him during all of the highlights of his life, difficult and happy, and he'd like to know how he's doing.
Okay. This one's actually a harder one because it's going to be on a deeper emotional level. Dakota is showing me that it's really about your emotional release that was associated with Dakota's passing. So it's not that you were just losing Dakota. Dakota's telling me that it was like you were losing a sense of yourself. So experiences, hard times, good times, all of the dog says crazy. So I hope you understand that all of the crazy things that occurred, it was like you felt like you were losing a part of you as Dakota was going. So with that was a lot of emotional clearing and healing for you on your level, not just as Dakota was going. So it's kind of like a dual-edged sword, sort of, for lack of a better word with it. And that, I think, is why it was deeply painful, was your own emotional, personal strife was coming away. Does that make sense?
Wow. As you're saying that, I'm actually feeling it in my heart.
Yeah, it's so
yeah,
beautiful,
there was
so sweet.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there emotionally. So, Jamie, thank you so much for sending through your question. We have one more question that we'd like to make sure we touch on. And thank you, Nicolebeth, for these beautiful messages that are helping with healing. And just, we need comfort, too, around this when our little pets pass. So Denise has sent through a question. She'd like to know about her pet Captain. What was her pet Captain thinking right before her pet crossed, and did she do the right thing for Captain?
I just want to add one more thing. Dakota said something else that I didn't answer Jamie's question. Dakota's fine. So I just want to make sure. I know we talked about Jamie's emotions, but we didn't actually say that Dakota's letting you know Dakota is fine. So Captain, it's funny because Captain has this very quirky vibration, like a goofball sort of, and it was very difficult as Captain was detaching to calm down, Captain said, to like settle down and relax. I feel this like bubbly blubber, like it sounds like a fishbowl, like blub, blub, blub. Captain keeps making these noises to show me the system and the energy body releasing and the physical body settling down. And I felt like fluid energy. So I feel like as Captain was releasing, what Captain's showing me is that Captain could be free. Captain could breathe. I keep hearing could breathe. So I hope that makes sense to them, that the release of the soul from the body meant that Captain could breathe and feel free. It feels kind of like bubbles, honestly, like bubbles coming up and out.
Yeah, I was going to say like bubbles rising up.
Yeah, that's exactly. I guess you can't see me in my house because I'm like pulling my hands up in the air, like whisking Captain out of her body. But it feels like a release, like this bubbly, beautiful release, and then like this effervescent, hovering, floating vibration right over the space for a while.
And that sense of freedom that you talked about.
Correct. What was the second part of that question?
Well, actually, there was a second part, Nicolebeth, but I didn't know that we were going to have time. And of course, as a psychic, you knew that because she asked about her other animal, Star. You were so funny. See what I mean? You can't hide anything. So Star, the same question. It looks like her pet Star passed away, and she wants to know if she did right by Star as well.
I want you to know that you do right by every animal that you will ever have the honor of being the guardian and protector of. They are so grateful for the care and love and homes that you provide them. And I hope that you have more animals in the house because I'm hearing that you always need to have at least one or two, and you do better with them with you. So please make sure you keep bringing them into your life and opening your heart to love them more. Don't shut down because it's so sad and painful for you when they pass over, because they want you to always have their love in your heart space and to always share your home with animals. And they're all fine. They, again, are more concerned about you and what you need, and what they want to make sure you do is always keep your heart open to loving an animal.
And I think you just wrapped up the show there, Nicolebeth, is the animals always have our heart space. So every show that we have with animals, we get so many questions. Thank you so much to our inspired listeners for asking those questions. If you have feedback for Nicolebeth, we'll actually be taking, after the show, questions, feedback on Nicolebeth's tuning into the animals and your thoughts, and we'd love to give that feedback. Again, head over to Facebook, Inspired Living Radio, and post your questions there. Nicolebeth, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing how fast this goes. shows, we didn't even get into healing or systemic cellular healing too much. So I tell you what, why don't we bring you back for another encore show later in the spring and talk about distant healing, systemic cellular healing. I think folks would be very interested in learning more about that. And I think people would be interested in learning how can they get a hold of you, your website, your contact information. If you give that out real quick so people can set up a reading with you, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. It's Nicolebeth.net, NicoleBeth.net. Everything is handled through my site. I'm also on Facebook. I love having new Facebook friends, and I always have something special going on my professional page on Nicolebeth too. So if you kind of pop over there, I'm always making like a lottery for free readings and complimentary things around the holidays too that I would be happy to extend to your listeners.
Perfect. And again, thank you so much for being the guest. It was awesome and fun hanging out with you in Asheville, North Carolina, and I look forward to seeing you again, and we'll talk again soon. Let's plan another show for healing with you. Okay, my dear?
Absolutely. Thank you both so much.
All right.
Thank you.
And as we get on to the end of the show, next week we have a fabulous guest. We're very excited for this guest, Dr. Mary Hensley, who is the author of Promised by Heaven, a very popular book. We're going to have her on live next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. I'm actually going to be broadcasting live from London, England. I'm going to be attending Arthur Findlay College, so fingers crossed that we can have a good connection. And Kim, do you have anything else that you'd like to leave our inspired listeners with?
I just want to thank everyone for listening and joining us every week. We love having you. We love growing with you. We love learning from you. Thank you for submitting your questions. Want to thank all of our guests too, Nicolebeth, this week. And next week we're very excited about having Dr. Mary Hensley on. Yeah. Until then, make love first.
Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. We'll see you next week on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Namaste.